Welcome back everyone to more strange and creepy videos. We're back to the original format from today onwards, and I appreciate all the feedback you guys have left on the last video. And with that said, let's go ahead and dive in.
Celebrities who made a mysterious deal for fame.
The weekend completely changed his look and sound. And his new persona feels almost as if he's possessed. He once admitted he made the deal for fame. His song Popular mentions what celebrities do to get famous. Katy Perry once wanted to be a gospel singer, but later said, to become famous, she made a deal. Was she kidding or admitting the truth? Beyonce once said, she becomes someone different when Sasha Fierce takes over. But some believe that Sasha isn't just a stage persona, but something more. Kanye once started to say, I sold my before going quiet. What was he about to admit? Before Lady Gaga even became famous, a rising singer named Lena Morgana mysteriously disappeared. Some believe that Gaga not only just took inspiration from her. In a rare interview, Bob Dylan admitted he made a deal to reach the top. When he was asked, with who? He replied, the chief commander of this world and the one we can't see.
Out of all these celebrities who sold their souls, Beyonce is the worst. I mean, that woman's vein spells out the words demons at work when she performs.
Let's see some class, look at this. So, I flip this to L2, and then I bring this to 1. And fire. Now look at that. Fire. Fire. Okay, perfect.
Potassium and sodium chloride are good for us in small doses, but what side effects does it cause whenever we consume these things excessively? You know, these along with other chemicals and metals in the atmosphere is just not good for our health.
There's a technology built into your smartphone that controls your brain. When you understand what optogenetics is all about, you will never want to use your smartphone without these guys. Again, I'm going to show you. Your smartphone is flashing your brain with infrared light without you noticing. The official reason why there are so many cameras and sensors built into your smartphone is the brightness of your display is getting controlled, or the face is getting scanned. But most people don't know that there's also a technology to control the activity of neurons through infrared light. This is because there are certain neurons inside of your brain that react to different wavelengths of light, that means different colors, and infrared light has a very high frequency. This is why you can see this light only with so-called night vision camera. I don't know about you, but I found it scary how well Instagram knows which content I like and not like. On top of that, I always feel so confused when I open up my phone compared to when I'm completely offline for a few hours. So there's some kind of tracking going on. This is why I only will use these ones for the next weeks. See whether this makes any difference. If you want to know how my experiment goes, like, comment, follow, I'll keep posted.
So I checked out optogenetics, and it can manipulate brain activity and influence behavior, perceptions, cognitive processes. It also manipulates parts of the brain to see how it can affect your memory, decision making, and your emotional responses. Though whether or not the iPhone has capabilities to actually run optogenetics, I'll leave that up to you.
This is why you could never convince me to get inside an elevator. Do you know about the free fall myth? It's less common nowadays, but there have been several instances where people have fallen to their deaths when the cables on the elevator snap. Nowadays they have safety brakes, and that typically prevents this catastrophe. But just imagining the fact that this could happen while you're inside just gives me the chills. As we all know, elevators rely heavily on technology. So if it glitches at all, it could trap passengers and terrible things could happen, like floods or fires. You're essentially in a death box. Like, there's nothing you can do. You just have to wait for someone to come save you. And that is so claustrophobic. There was a guy in New York who was trapped in an elevator for 41 hours until he was saved. I live in New York and I was trapped in my elevator for like 2 hours once. It was terrifying. There's also been a lot of creepy surveillance footage involving elevators. Take Elisa Lam's case, for example. She disappeared after getting off of this elevator. And this is her unsettling behavior before her death. The last place she was ever seen. Elevators in general have led to so many fatal accidents. According to the elevator safety organizations, about 30 deaths a year occur from elevator-related incidents, and that's just in the US. This includes like misalignments that cause falls or doors closing permanently, or like when you get your hand stuck in an elevator, for example. Like, that's happened to people. But people believe that elevators are a portal to another dimension. A lot of people believe they have paranormal association. There's even a ritual called the elevator game that originated in Korea. It involves pressing different buttons to different floors in a specific sequence that supposedly takes you to another dimension. Many people have gone missing after playing that game. Do elevators freak you out? Come over here for more scary videos.
I'm okay with elevators. It's when I get into one and the cable wire sounds like it's grinding or about to snap, barely holding the cabin that you're in, is when I start to think, yeah, you know, today's probably going to be that day.
In the video, the uploader explains that he's alone at his girlfriend's house, where she is often reported hearing strange noises near the stairs. Though he had never experienced anything unusual before, he acknowledges that the house is old, and that this is the first time he's hearing the strange sounds himself.
I've never heard it until now. I always said it's not haunted because the house is a little old. But it legit sounds like there's somebody upstairs.
Then, as he looks up the stairs, this happens.
Who's up there? Oh my God, they're like at the top of the stairs. Come down these stairs and I will swing on you, I promise.
The guy wasn't joking whenever he said he'd swing at the friendly ghost. I mean, I think if he swung at us with that sort of punch, it would probably feel like a tickle.
When you see what they are blotting out in the skies, as in this 1906 photograph of San Francisco, it makes you wonder what is so important about what they're blotting out. Because what they're blotting out is quite literally our history. San Francisco ruins of 1906. And they say this comes from the George Lawrence airship. Well, this is the captive airship right here. It's a kite that they say took the aerial photographs of San Francisco. This one picture destroys their narrative. The arrow is pointing at the wing extension stabilizers, and they are not from the George Lawrence captive airship. They are from this, the mythological fairy tale steampunk that apparently did exist and in great numbers. Notice the stabilizers. In this photo they are cropped up of the unfurled wing extension. The next question is, why is it so important to delete these craft out of our history? What part of our history is so sensitive that it can be affected by these airships by trying to convince us a kite took these aerial photographs so we would not know the capabilities of airships?
The first airship made in use was in 1852 by Gifford, so I reckon the reason the airburst stemmed from photos was because they wanted the photos to actually look better, or, you know, just wanted aerial photos of the land.
I was 8 when I was brought here. We're brought here in the daytime. I don't like being here at all. I'm very stressed at the moment. This is probably the worst memory from my childhood. Like I said, there was at least 6 people. They were chanting. They were dressed in robes. I have a very clear memory of the silhouettes of them, so it must have been not too dark, or it's a full moon, something like that. And they're chanting to their pagan gods. And this is a rebirth ceremony. The side is called a ghoul. I was told that it would come to life once the lid was closed or once I was in there. I believed this thing was going to come to life. They put the lid on top and it went completely dark. And I thought this thing was then grabbing me and suffocating me. I was screaming my head off. I was screaming as much as an 8-year-old could scream, as loud as I could scream. I was screaming for God. I was screaming, Jesus, help me. I was terrified beyond words. And I exhausted all the oxygen in there. They left me in there too long. They didn't mean to. I woke up in the emergency room of Sutherland Hospital. There were nurses in shower caps, and one nurse, and I had a mask on my face, and one nurse said to me, "We nearly lost you." She was very warm, and then she said, "Mummy's here," and oh, my heart leapt. I thought my mum was there. I could see the door to my right. Wasn't Mummy, it was the red-headed witch that had helped lower me in the grave, the lover of Leonis Petriscus. I don't know what she was, whether she was the wife or whatever of the fat Engadine policeman. But she was a slim-built woman with very red hair, long red hair, and she had a black crucifix on a gold chain. And I remember looking at her and just thinking, that's not Mummy. But I couldn't say anything. And then Dr. Petriscus, or Dr. Mark, as I was made to call him throughout my younger years, released me into his care. And I was taken back to Engadine. I was taken back to Helen Holozak's house at 14 McAllister Avenue, and I was in there, and I remember being sitting in a chair, and I remember Leonis Petriscus just freaking out and pacing the room and talking in Polish to my grandmother, and they were all panicking and freaking out. And then I remember him subjecting me to unethical hypnosis and trying to make me forget the whole thing. I had a near-death experience during this. I went through a tunnel, and there was light at the end of the tunnel. I painted that tunnel on my bedroom wall at 40 Oringo Street, Budgewoi, and I told my mum that's the time tunnel. That's the Doctor Who time tunnel. And I knew it was the tunnel that I'd gone through when I died.
To be going through that kind of torment at such a young age is terrifying, but knowing this happens probably on a weekly basis to this day is even more terrifying.
If folks went to church, we wouldn't be in this mess we're in now.
That's right. Make Daddy love you. Sexy baby.
Sexy baby.
Get up.
Talk dirty to me.
Sexy baby! You were such a sexy baby! He's at it again!
Tonight isn't just about the people in front of the camera. In this room are some of the most important TV and film executives in the world.
Well, Tom Hanks, folks, they can try to kill me. You know, good luck with that.
People from every background, but they all have one thing in common. They're all terrified of Ronan Farrow. He's coming for you. He's coming for you.
I'm sorry if this is the kind of bursting your bubble. All this information is new.
It was a big year. It was a big year for paedophile movies.
Hanks, Weinstein.
Shut up. I don't care. I don't care.
There's this girl, Sarah Ruth Ashcraft. Her dad sold her to Tom Hanks. I know who you are. I know you. I've met you.
When I found out what kind of person Hanks was, it tainted my childhood film Toy Story and made me think why his character's name was called Woody. Cappy also gave his life to expose these kind of people, and we probably wouldn't even know half of what went on if it were not for him.
Here are some crazy things happening in the world right now. The Klarna CEO publicly stated that he feels gloomy because AI is developing so fast it's going to do his entire job. This video shows the difference in real time between the earnings of LeBron James and the earnings of LeBron James' son brawny. Over 160 unexploded bombs from World War II were just found under a children's playground in London. Rats broke into an evidence room to steal drugs, and one of the police officers was quoted saying, "All kinds of things love drugs." A small Italian village has officially banned its residents from becoming seriously ill due to the distance as well as the shortcomings of the local healthcare system. A German court ruled that chocolate that says it's from Dubai must actually come from Dubai. A chairman of an Indian conglomerate wants employees to work on Sundays and was quoted saying, "How long could you stare at your wife for?" A pizzeria in England is charging $120 to add pineapple onto your pizza. And I find that offensive because I love pineapple on pizza.
160 World War II bombs under a playground is just wild and makes you wonder just what's under our feet.
Kids today, like your kids and my kids, are never going to buy a home. Here's why this is happening. There's three big companies, BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard.
And they have a monopoly on a lot of the housing market, right?
They own everything. BlackRock has $10 trillion under management. The GDP of California is $3 trillion. So they're 3 times the size of California. The California economy is the 5th largest in the world of all nations. Those 3 companies own 88% of the S&P 500. Wow. So they basically just own everything. And now what they've decided is they want to own every single family home in our country. If we continue it on this trajectory, they will own 60% of the single family homes in our country. They pay nothing for money. Like if you're the richest person in the country, BlackRock's cost of money is 30% lower than you. Their credit is so impeccable.
Oh, I see. They have like 900.
Yeah, so they're competing against our kids. They got the better than the best credit rating. It's like socialism for the rich and this barbaric, merciless, ruthless, savage capitalism for the poor.
Not to mention the massive laundering operation they have going on in Ukraine. I mean, the fact that these 3 companies pretty much own everything should be illegal, especially when it's concerning things like housing.
Get y'all ass in here and sit down. Now, what we got here is 2 little creatures that was caught on somebody's security cam walking through somebody's driveway. But they up to something. Look at them, shorter than the goddamn tires. And then one of them is getting ready to shoot some sort of light into the sky. See what he did? Now, I think it's some sort of a flare to either call backup in or to let wherever they came from know that they're done doing what they're doing. I'm not sure. I'm just speculating. But what are these things, y'all? They're shorter than the fucking tires. These are not kids. Are they gnomes? Are they duendes? I mean, are they elves? What are they? And what is he shooting in the goddamn sky? I don't know. Somebody tell me what they think. Get your ass out of here.
Over here in Ireland, we call them the potato people. You know, they're potatoes with legs that come out at night from the soil and they shoot spuds from a straw and play with spud guns.
What do you think would happen if you drank a bottle of radium? Fortunately for me, I'm never going to find out. Unfortunately for people in 1925, Radithor was all the rage. This is not real Radithor, but it is real radium. So what was Radithor? It was invented in 1925 by William J. Bailey, and it was basically just radium mixed with distilled water. It was prescribed for kind of everything. It was supposed to be good for pain and for energy. They called it eternal sunshine, I believe. And the socialite, Eben Byers, he hurt his arm falling out of a bed, and he went to the doctor, and the doctor said, try this stuff, should be amazing, give you a little bit of energy, kind of revitalize you. And Eben Byers loved it. Eben Byers was drinking 3 bottles a day of Radithor. I think the prescribed amount was like a sip of it in the morning time. I don't think you were supposed to drink the entire bottle. He said, give me 3. He actually carried cases of it with him and gave just cases to his friends and his girlfriends. He made sure everybody had Radithor for the 5 years that it was being made. Now, what happened to Evans? At first, he said it made him feel great, got rid of the pain in his arm, gave him some energy. There's a couple theories on if that actually worked or how it could have worked. One theory is that since your body treats radium like calcium and stores it in your bones, that it could affect your red blood cell count, and if that went up, then it would increase the oxygen to your brain. I'm not a doctor, I don't know if this is how it actually works, and that would give you like a little boost or increase in energy. It's also thought that radiation affects your nervous system, so over time it would dampen pain. You just wouldn't be able to feel much of anything because your nervous system wouldn't work. And then the other scientific theory on how this worked is placebo. He was told it would work, and so, you know, it did. So what happened? Just like the radium girls, he was consuming so much radium that his body started storing it in his bones, and just like the radium girls, his jaw started to dissolve. His teeth fell out first. Eventually, his bottom jaw had to be completely removed. Most of his top jaw also kind of detached. There are pictures online. I don't think they're actually of him. I think it's from a different medical journal and it's just associated with him. I don't suggest looking it up. I really don't. Don't look up him or the radium girls. It's gruesome. And it said eventually on his deathbed he had holes in his skull where his skull had dissolved. So, to this day, Eben Byers is radioactive in his grave in Allegheny, Pennsylvania, I believe. And I guess the moral of the story is don't listen to snake oil salesmen, and we gotta not let things like this happen again. So, thanks for listening, and don't drink radioactive stuff.
Imagine one of your mates gives you Radithor and you decide to go ahead and try some. Then a while later you come to find that your mate passed away from consuming it. I mean, your jaw would drop.
Lucifer, through his agent Satan, set man free from this garden by giving him the gift of intellect. Through the use of intellect, man will conquer the earth, will conquer nature, and will himself become God. It's taught in every Masonic temple in this land, every secret brotherhood, every secret society, every mystical temple, every occult organization teaches the Luciferian philosophy. At the highest level, their goal is to create a world in which the adepts, the 1,000 points of light, working behind the veil to create the culmination of the great plan, can realize the ultimate happiness for mankind. Their whole purpose throughout history has been to teach a small number of people how to become adept at controlling everyone else and presenting their societies as desirable to the profane so that you'll go knock on the door and say, hey, can I be a member and be initiated? With the promise of learning some great secret. What is that secret? The secret is what I have just told you this morning. The secret is how to control everybody else.
Have old Billy up and running again.
Kinda thinking this is a bad idea, buddy.
Yeah, she gonna work.
Alright.
You gonna get her back up and running tonight.
Yeah.
Damn it, all it did was break the fucking window and blow my tire apart.
Birthday, so I'm making him a cookie of the letter M. Oh, got a little chocolate starter.
You want it more? You want it more? No!
That's all I have for you today, everyone. And if you enjoyed the compilation, smash that like button and subscribe button if you haven't already. But until the next video, stay safe and stay healthy, and I'll see you then.